Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Founder Series by TeamWave. And today, actually, this episode is being shot on the Women's Day. And coincidentally, we have a superwoman as our guest. That is Kate Bradley Chernis. She's the CEO and founder of Lately. Lately is a social media platform that creates content for you with the power of AI. So thanks a lot for joining us, Kate.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. It's so great to see you.
My first question would be like, we would love to hear from the founder herself. What is Lately and how did you come up with this beautiful idea?
Yeah, so thank you. So Lately uses artificial intelligence to actually create social media posts for you, and it does that in a couple of ways. Number one, you connect your social channels to Lately, and you give us access to your analytics, and we study them, and we start to learn literally what text your customers or your target audience will respond to. We're looking at the highest engaging posts, right? And we build a writing model based on that. And then anything you feed us, like a video like this, or a podcast, or any kind of long form text, like a blog or a newsletter, we will take that writing model, look for the best quotes that we say, for example, and atomize that long form content into like hundreds of social posts. So for example, this video, you push a button, Lately's brain works on it, and we'll give you like 40 to 100 mini video clips of like the coolest one-liners that you or I say today. Yeah.
That's great. That's so cool because we write so many blogs and we have to literally sit at it for hours and hours and work on it. So, yes.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And then what happens with it, right? Nothing. So like that's
Yeah.
the worst thing is you work for hours and hours and then maybe you write a couple of social posts. For most
Mhm.
people, it's just the headline. And the headline usually isn't very interesting. It's the content inside that is. So
Mhm.
we think of it like a movie trailer, right? So when you watch a movie trailer, it's a teaser of what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
big story is, you know? So it's the
Mhm.
same idea. Yeah.
Mhm. Great. And how did you come up with this idea?
That's the story. So it's a bit of a long one, but
Yeah, we
and
are fine. Yeah, we can
you're all
go with
fine,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't really come up with it. You know, it's I don't know if this happens in your life, Rashmi, but I find that I need catalysts. I need other
Mhm.
people to see I don't know how to say this without sounding like a jerk, but to see the greatness. You
Mhm.
know, I don't even realize it. Right. So for example, when I started Lately, I used to be a rock and roll DJ.
Mhm.
My last gig was broadcasting to 20 million listeners a day, XM satellite
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah.
So it was a wild life, as you might imagine.
Mhm.
And as I was, one of the things I learned in radio was how to make listeners into fans. And that's a big
Mhm.
difference because fans evangelize for you, right?
Mhm.
Same with customers, you know, so you get so much more out of the bang for your buck. And part of the way you do that in radio is the same way you do it in
Mhm.
marketing and sales, which is that using that authentic connection, pulling back the black curtain a little bit, giving people a piece of you, right, so to speak, and other techniques as well. And one of the things that we were doing was we were presenting new music at the time in a way where it was supported by older familiar music. And it's a real art form to do this, but it really touches on the neuroscience of music. So
Mhm.
get this is crazy. So when you listen to music, your brain has to access every single song you've ever heard before
Yeah.
to index that new song in the right place in your mind,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And when that happens, all this nostalgia gets pulled forward. So you
Mhm.
feel very emotional around the music because your
Yeah.
brain is looking for the familiar touch
Mhm.
points of the new thing to connect with, right? And so marketing and sales is the same way. Writing is the same way. When I'm writing something, I'm looking to figure out how can I put something new in a context in your mind where you're going to feel comfortable enough to trust me, right?
Mhm.
And buy my thing. Yep. So that influences actually our AI right now, which is why it gets people such a high engagement. But the how I got there from radio is kind of crazy. So I was sexually harassed in radio.
Mhm.
You know, it's part of the culture, boys club.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't even know that was wrong, Rashmi, like
Mhm.
because it was so normal. I even participated in it because it was just the deal, you know. Um, but what I did know was that I wasn't getting the credit for my ideas and the things I was doing well, and that really bothered me. And it was in a hostile work environment, which also I didn't even know that word. We didn't have
Mhm.
this language then. I'm 47 and this was
Mhm.
in 2004, so
Yeah.
a while ago. Um, and my body started reacting. So I had all these illnesses. I had this huge rash on my torso that no
Mhm.
one could explain, and I had torn a ligament in my ankle and kept re-injuring it. So I was like on crutches for almost a couple years. And my hands developed epicondylitis and tendonitis, which is
Mhm.
inoperable pain, and I couldn't type anymore.
Mhm.
So I couldn't do what you can do every day, and I
Mhm.
still can't actually without great pain.
Oh.
So I had to learn something new, and I was really scared. And I learned about Dragon Naturally Speaking, which is voice activated
Mhm.
software. So that's why I wear this microphone all day long,
Oh.
right? I talk to my
Yeah.
computer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can't even touch my phone
Mhm.
without a stylus because it hurts too
Oh.
much. So I found this woman who knew how to use this voice activated software
Mhm.
to train me.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any money because there's no money in radio. And
Mhm.
so I paid her in CDs because I had mountains of CDs,
Mhm.
from work. And she
Mhm.
was a fan.
Mhm.
And then I ended up moving from XM, and nobody, they didn't think anything was wrong with me. So there was all this discrimination because I
Mhm.
looked normal.
Mhm.
I had hands, obviously. And I moved to another music related company, and the same thing. There was no understanding what was wrong with me.
Mhm.
And I was very, very terrified. And
Mhm.
I wasn't a very nice person, Rashmi. I was just toxic. Like I hated my job and I hated my life, and I didn't know how to change it, right? And my dad one day was really sick of me crying all the time. And so he very lovingly shook me by the shoulders and said, "You can't work for other people. And there's no shame in that." Right.
Mhm.
Which, so the reason that affected me so greatly was because obviously it didn't occur to me I could work for myself. I was like, oh, wow, that's great. I can do that. And then, but the other thing that he keyed in on was the shame. So most women that I know, since it's International Women's Day, um, they take it all upon themselves. Our first, I don't know if this happens to you, but our first reaction is to think, okay, what did I do wrong? And to
Mhm.
run through all the reasons, all the self-doubt, all the criticism, right? That's what we do. And that's what I had done. I did feel shame. I thought I was messing this up, right? But I wasn't messing this up. I was doing everything in my power to try to make myself feel better or get
Mhm.
better, and no one was helping me. So my boyfriend, who's now my husband at the
Mhm.
time, he heard my dad, and he went and got me a startup book. It's called The Art of the Start by Guy
Mhm.
Kawasaki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was reading it, and Guy says, like, it's right in the first or second chapter. He says, "Don't make a plan, just get
Mhm.
started," right?
Yeah.
And so I got the gist. And so I just stopped reading the book because I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I'm inspired. Let's do this
Yeah.
now. And I went to lunch the next day. This is a super confluence of magical things. I went to lunch with a couple of guys who I didn't know, and they were hand delivering a product that they could have mailed to me for work.
Mhm.
But they were fans of mine from XM. They were radio
Mhm.
fans. They knew my show.
Oh.
Yeah, and I went to lunch with them, and it turns out that they were angel investors. They just
Mhm.
happened to also be angel investors, and they were like, "We love you. Let's start a company. Here's 50,000 bucks." Right? So they gave me
Yeah.
$50,000 to start my
Mhm.
first company, and it was kind of kismet. And I remember David, my now husband, he was like, "I just gave you that book." So from there, I told you it was a long story, right? So from there, we were marketing that company. And as I was doing that, somebody else came along and said, "Hey, you're really good at marketing.
Mhm.
Could you consult this project I'm working on? We'll pay you a lot more money,
Mhm.
and you don't have to, listen to music anymore." And I was like, great, because that was exhausting. And the universe was trying to tell me to let go of this other identity, but I
Mhm.
wasn't quite there yet, Reshmi.
Mhm.
And I needed this nudge.
Mhm.
And so, because I was scared to lose my identity as Kate the DJ, the Kate the music person. And so I went and decided to say, okay, I'm going to stop the music thing and do this other thing. And that was the Walmart project. So suddenly I'm consulting the largest retailer in the
Yeah.
world, and I saw that they were doing this really good cause. They were trying to help people who are poor, educate them through um, financial empowerment courses, and then also tax.
Mm-hmm.
So for me and you, just think about this: like if you make $10,000 a year and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get a $2,000 tax credit, that's
Yeah.
life changing. You
Yeah.
know. So it was Walmart and all of their franchises, and Bank of America and all
Mm-hmm.
of their franchises, and United Way Worldwide and all of their franchises, and the National Disability Institute and the IRS. So like a lot of huge players and a lot of small players,
Mm-hmm.
everyone wanted this good cause together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what a mess. And so I went home and built a
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet and to organize us really,
Mm-hmm.
and to uncover some of the things that you and so many people, are starting to be really aware of, which is
Mm-hmm.
marketers are generally not very good at writing. They don't
Mm-hmm.
like writing. They hire out consultants to write for
Mm-hmm.
them. People in general are bad at
Mm-hmm.
writing, and consistency is hard. Like all those little nuances that you
Mm-hmm.
start to become an expert on is not it's not normal. It's not natural for other
Yeah.
people. It's hard. And so my spreadsheet system that I created took care of a lot of this, and it got us 130% ROI year over year for 3 years.
Great. Mm.
Yeah, so that was amazing. And so remember, Rashmi, how we talked about that catalyst
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
someone else needed to see? Yeah. So someone introduced me to Steve,
Mm-hmm.
who's one of my co-founders now. And Steve had said to me then, hey, your spreadsheets are amazing, because by then I had an agency and I was
Mm-hmm.
using this system for a lot of clients. And he was like, let's just automate them and turn them into software, and we'll build wireframes, and we need $25,000. And he was just speaking this language that I had never heard those words before, right? I didn't know what
Yeah.
it meant. And I was like, first of all, I've been like eating ramen noodles for 30 years to save up this $25,000 that I have to buy my first house, you know? And I was like, so you're crazy. Who just drops 25,000? And then I was like, don't touch my spreadsheets. I mean, they're awesome. What are you, crazy? And then I didn't know what a wireframe is, right? So for folks who may not know, a wireframe is kind of like a blueprint of a website. So it can give someone a visual idea of like how it could all work together. So Steve took that money out of his own pocket and hired Jason, who he's been working with for a long time and is now one of my other co-founders. And they came over and they showed me the wireframes to Lately, and it looks a lot like what it looks like now. And they said I was a lot nicer to them after that because I got it. I saw what they wanted. They wanted to automate this process for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. So
Okay,
that's how
great.
we started.
That was very inspiring, actually. Every part that you said, I think, especially the female entrepreneurs or the people who work as female employees, they would be they would be able to relate to that part, the initial part that you said about harassment, or about, about the bias in the industry. So many people would be able to relate to that, and it was very inspiring how you fought it out, how you came out of it, how you tried to change yourself, and then the journey that you have reached till here. So I just loved it.
Thank you. And the important thing to me there too is that other people had to help me, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
dad and Steve
Yeah, yeah.
and my aunt Jeanette. My aunt Jeanette is the one who put
Mm-hmm.
me on the Walmart account. These three people saw something I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see, right? Which we all need that. And I was willing to listen. That's the other thing, is like it just happened to be that I was in the right place to
Mm.
take the information and move forward with it, right? So it's part luck and then
Yeah.
part, the willingness to change the channel,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. How did you know that, okay, the product market, how did you find the product market fit? Like, okay, did you find the customers first and then decide on the product? Or did you first make the product and show them the demo?
Yeah, so it was hard because we struggled, Rashmi. We didn't even know how to build this product out because it was too big. So I had inside my spreadsheet system, there were about I would say 24 worksheets, and we were trying to build a feature for each worksheet and then house it right under the whole platform. And the top hard part was we didn't know where to start because marketing isn't a linear event,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's more not everybody starts at the same place, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was hard. How do you like say do this, do this, do this? And so we had an idea with one feature that we thought was going to be the way to go. So we spent a little while working on that and spent all the money we'd raised actually. And at the time, my CTO, my chief technical officer, it turns out that he was an alcoholic loser
Mm-hmm.
and was not doing any work for me and wasting all my money.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really painful to understand, but also because I didn't know what GitHub was. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand code. I couldn't even uncover that that's what was happening because I had zero visibility, right? So we hired another CTO to come in and help us, and we started to have a little bit more of a visual. We kept with the idea like, let's look at each worksheet as a feature and see which one is the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally we built a skeleton, and we've had fake customers. We like basically twisted the arms of people we knew to give us $20 a month and say that they were our customers and kind of give us some feedback, and it wasn't really working because what we were selling was organization. We thought that was the thing that I had done for Walmart, but really the thing that I had done was like unify the content and show them a way to atomize it. But I didn't even know it, then. But the customers kept coming back to this one feature. It was the one that everyone was the most excited about. So it took us a couple years to really understand this. And then we flipped lately. We didn't know it was called AI, by the way. That wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
what had no understanding here. But it was just listening to all of our customers and watching what they were doing. And we started to have real customers, which is good. And we found that the lower payment was making them churn because they weren't taking it seriously. They didn't understand that there had to be some time invested,
Mm-hmm.
because people hate marketing so much. They really want to push a button and walk away, and you can't. You have to be, like, I just was using my electronic toothbrush, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does the brushing for me, but I still have to hold it in my mouth, right? You know,
Yeah.
so as we started raising the price, we saw the customers staying longer and getting the value more and using that atomizing feature. That was the big
Mm.
one.
Okay.
And then we also learned that we were selling ourselves short. So we focused on that one feature and thought, okay, let's just highlight this. But then we realized that because people thought we were just a tool and not a platform, that there was a ceiling to how much they would pay. They didn't realize all the power we'd really given them. So we need to again revisit how we communicated everything and then change the pricing
Mm-hmm.
to reflect a platform and not just a tool,
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the AI, so we cottoned onto that. And then the kicker though was the video clips, right? So forever you could take any blog or a chapter of a book or newsletter or anything like that, paste it into Lately, push a button, and we would give you like 50 social posts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of our customers and me, I would do a video like this, and I would give it
Mm-hmm.
to an intern and say like, hey, can you go through and find like all the cool bits and then
Mm-hmm.
chop it up, and no one would do it for me. And I was like, this is crazy. So my team decided to sit down and figure it out one day. And as soon as we could do the video clips, that changed everything, because
Mm-hmm.
you guys just all heard me take
Yeah.
forever to tell you what Lately does. Right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not good at it, and it's very hard to describe. And now I don't have to. I can literally show you Gary Vee, Gary Vaynerchuk,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
sure. Sure.
yeah. So Gary Vee, this was a
Yeah.
year ago when we made this
Mm-hmm.
video clip feature. He saw it. He built an entire Twitter channel. It's called Gary Vee TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's fueled only by Lately and nothing else. And it gets him
Okay.
a 12,000% increase in engagement.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I just show people Gary Vee's channel and they go,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh," right? So that changed for us. And to answer your question, and I'm sorry for taking so long, but like it wasn't a straight path, and it still
Mm-hmm.
isn't. We're still people always tell you to listen to your customers, and you think, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of course I am, but you don't understand. Like, it's not just listening, but you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for patterns. This is one of the best tips anybody ever gave me, is negative or positive. You want to look for the patterns in the time, how long it takes someone to be a customer, what they use, how long it takes them to churn, how long it takes them to ask X questions. Um, you know, you're looking at the budget and all those patterns. Like, patterns are just the key to unlocking everything, right? Um, but yeah, it's not a straight line.
Yeah, yeah. I actually just love that part that you said. Means listening is not the part, but we should understand the different patterns, like what they say, or we should read between the lines, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have that
Mm-hmm.
skill, right? And sometimes I don't. I need my team to see it
Hmm.
for me,
Yeah.
because that's not, they know more than I do collectively,
Yes.
right? Yeah, thank God.
And from your answer, yeah, well, I would love to hear more about the association between how Lately and Gary Vee team, because yes, all the marketers are a huge fan of Gary Vee, obviously.
Gary is so great. I mean,
Yeah.
so we met him actually. So let's see, we met him in 2019. He does a course called 4Ds,
Mhm.
and you go for a day, and you get, like, I think there's 7 or 8 different courses with his marketing team. And then Gary spends like an hour also with everyone in the room, and there's usually like 7, 10, or 12 people. So I went, because I wanted to make the sale. We had seen, oh, I forgot to tell you this part. This is important. So Gary put on LinkedIn one day, hey, if there was only an AI tool that would turn all of my long form content into like 40 social posts with a click of a
Mm.
button. And we were like,
Oh, that's Lately.
and that does. So we called and we emailed every customer we had, any person we knew, to I commented on that, and we had everybody like my comment and comment on my comment to help push it up, right, in the
Okay.
in the thread.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we made a lot of noise.
Mhm.
So Team Gary Vee, he's got a whole team of people who run a lot of his stuff. They saw it, and we got them in a trial.
Yeah.
So we made them customers, and they were in a trial.
Mhm.
And so I went to 4Ds because I wanted to close the deal,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of sneaky.
Yeah.
And the guy who was trialing for us, the head of it, was on vacation that week,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Oh.
But the other team was there. So I left the room all day long because I didn't need marketing
Mhm.
consulting, you
Mhm.
know. And so I went out to find all the people who were using Lately and talk to them and get to know them and yada yada.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, then Gary comes in for like an hour, and he starts talking to
Mhm.
everybody, and they all have these questions, and I'm like, Rashmi, I was like, oh my God, I don't have any questions. I'm like, because I wasn't prepared for this. So I'm trying to come up with some questions, and then Gary goes around the room and he asks you. He's so nice. He's got so much integrity, and he asks everybody what they do and who they are, etc. And
Mhm.
so I said, we are automating social media writing, and
Mhm.
he was like, ugh, we would never use that. We don't do any
Oh.
automation on
Mhm.
social, right? And so I was like, but your team is using us right now. And he was like, what? And so then he called in the people that I had spent the day talking to, and he was like, are you using Lately? And they were like, yeah, we love
Mhm.
it, etc. And Gary reached me, right? So he recorded this whole thing
Mhm.
because he uses it for content later, and he left all of it in, which he
Mhm.
didn't have to do,
Mhm.
which was really cool. So that was awesome. And so we were already in his mists, but like, he
Mhm.
forgot about us because he's not
Yeah.
using Lately. His
Yeah. Yeah.
team was using it. And they were about to churn. We were about to lose them as a customer
Mhm.
because Gary doesn't need an automated army.
Mhm.
He has a human army. He doesn't really need Lately.
Mhm.
But the video clip feature was key. So as soon as
Mhm.
we released that, we called up the team and say, hey guys, and Jim Thompson, who was our
Mhm.
our man inside there, made that Twitter channel and literally just walked up to
Mhm.
Gary and showed him his phone with the Twitter channel. And Gary
Mhm.
said, oh my God, who is that? I want to meet them on Monday.
Mhm.
And So we did.
Mm-hmm.
So he's become an advisor to us. And, really, one other thing that he said to me, which hopefully people will find this useful, is they had talked about how their own marketing, they were doing a new thing, that they
Mm-hmm.
had stopped doing cold calls and cold emails. And I was like, really interested in that, because I hate cold calls and cold
Mm-hmm.
emails. Don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Exactly.
sometimes we think, okay, why did I get this call, or why did I get this email?
Yeah. It's like so out of there. And
Yeah.
so I was interested in that. And I was like, you know what? Can we do this? Because he said that what they did instead was they looked at everyone who was liking and commenting on
Mm-hmm.
their social media, and they decided that they were going to be warm leads and they would
Mm-hmm.
qualify the right people from there. And I was like, oh my God, we can do this. So we only use Lately to
Mm-hmm.
market Lately, nothing else. I'm going to ask you for the file of this
Mm-hmm.
recording.
Okay.
I'm going to run it through the brain. Hopefully you
Mm-hmm.
say yes.
Yeah, sure.
I run it through Lately. Lately will transcribe all the
Mm-hmm.
text, and then it'll
Mm.
look for the best video clips of the things you and I say and give me
Okay,
social posts, right?
great.
And so I only use that
Mm-hmm.
for our marketing, nothing else.
Mm.
And since we started doing this, we
Yeah.
have a 98% conversion.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because we're doing what
Yeah.
Gary said. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, the AI is doing its job. It's finding the stuff we know people are going to
Yeah.
respond to. And then we watch people who
Mm-hmm.
like and comment or share our content. They're considered warm. We
Mm.
we further qualify them with like a checklist,
Yeah.
and then get them into a DM and get them into the demo and close them, right?
Oh, cool. That would I would love to know more about, like, lately, the two best features about lately that you want to talk about.
Oh,
I
thank you so
know
much.
obviously there would be many, but yeah, I would love to hear two best features about lately.
I think so. I'll tell you a functional one and then more of an aesthetic one, if that's
Yeah.
okay. And thank you for asking.
Yeah, sure.
The functional one is the word clouds. So we're literally looking at the DNA of what you say. So we break
Mm-hmm.
down your sentences into the words. Which words make up the sentences that your customers are resharing the most or commenting on. And so you can look at the word clouds anytime, but most of our customers come in and they look at them first, because the word clouds literally are a live antenna of what
Mm-hmm.
people want you to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And people will actually reverse engineer Lately in this way. So, and you can curate the word clouds, by the way. So if the word like comes up, you can be like,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's a noise word, AI, ignore.
Mm-hmm.
Or if the word marketing comes up, you can say, oh yeah, pay attention to that, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
there's the human involvement,
Mm.
human involvement. And we had a customer, Phil Treadwell, actually. He took his blog, he ran it through
Mm-hmm.
Lately, and the social posts that came out, he thought were terrible. So
Mm-hmm.
he went to his word clouds,
Mm.
readjusted and rewrote his blog based on what was there, and then ran it back through Lately, and everything came out good.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so number two related to that is the human element. So we know, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't remove humans from the equation when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to sales and marketing, because that's part of the magic,
Yeah.
right? It's that je ne sais quoi. And so Lately's job is to get you 3/4 of the way there, to start you at
Mm-hmm.
third base. Start you at third base. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of work to get there, right? But then the human's job is to come in and give it that little extra nudge along. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, once you get like 100 social posts from Lately, you
Mm-hmm.
have the option to go in and edit all of them.
Yeah.
And we recommend you do, because the AI even learns from what you delete.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's paying attention to what you save, what you delete, and what you edit, and how you edit it, right? And giving that, helping it learn your voice, learn
Yeah.
your, that extra spark there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think people either love or they hate, right? So some people are like, oh, I have to do work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, you'd have to do work. Or then there's the other people who obviously totally get it, and those are
Mm-hmm.
our customers. But yeah.
Mm, great. We, after this video is done, we have to edit it. So there would be some important parts which we want to share. So basically, I sometimes, yeah, I think like if we could easily just cut it into the best parts, we could cut those out. So it's great. The ones
Thanks.
who
Yeah,
edit
because that's
video, yeah,
hard,
the ones
right?
who edit
Like,
video, they know that. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I mean, my Simon Smalls, who's a friend, and well, because I met him online, was like, "Oh, this is like having like a team of 5 other people do this work for you," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, exactly," because it takes a long time to go back and watch something and cut it
Mm.
all up.
Now we are almost at the end of the interview. So I had to just fun questions to just know about you. Apart from The Art of Start, because you mentioned that book initially, which is one other book you would like to recommend to the entrepreneurs?
Oh, the best one
Yeah.
I love is called Pitch Anything, and it's kind of a like male bravado book a little bit, but don't let that freak you out. It's about the psychology of sales and
Mhm.
how manipulative it is, which it is. And there's great tricks that you can, I mean, I feel like the thing that took me a long time to learn, Rashmi, was to know what my objective is and to be unashamed about that objective, sales, and to go in and just get it and to learn how to work a room, right?
Mhm.
How to work an audience, which I already knew that from radio, but I didn't realize I had to apply
Mhm.
it to every meeting with investors or
Mhm.
customers or et cetera, right? So even in this moment, you are you right now, but you're you, the host, which is a
Mhm.
little bit different than you, the sister, or you, the
Yeah.
daughter, or if you're married, you, the wife,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, or friend, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Um, and so being able to put on that persona in the
Mhm.
moment and be very clear on how to get it is what this book is about. And it shows you some sneaky tricks, which
Mhm.
I'm okay with sneaky. I don't think there's anything wrong with it's already, they're doing it to you. So you might as
Mhm.
well go to the gunfight with a gun and not a
Mhm.
knife,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So anyways, that's why I like that one a lot because it's kind of sharky,
Mhm.
which I didn't have that skill. Um, or I did, but I didn't know to apply it
Mhm.
to that room, especially, sorry to go on about this, but especially as a woman, because men, not all men, of course, but like, I'll give you an example. So here's something that a lot of guys like to do in a meeting is
Mhm.
they like to sit back and do this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's a form of offense. I'm
Mhm.
big and I'm
Mhm.
sitting back and this is my power stance, and it also says I'm not interested in you. I'm just
Mhm.
I'm on California time right now, or
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like I'm on chill time. Sorry, California.
Mhm.
But like when you can recognize those things and either learn how to mirror them or one up
Mm.
people with them, because it's out there, you need that skill set,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree because I'm not that good at sales, but yes, I've read in books we need to have that skill to be a good salesperson. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is as simple as thinking, like, I learned this from that book as well. You don't think, right? So I think undercuts what you're saying before it even comes out of your mouth,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, I think you'll be happy with this product is like so weak. And that's, again, like, women don't really think about that so much.
Mm-hmm.
So like I tried to remove words like need,
Oh.
probably, maybe, just. See all
Mm-hmm.
those? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have to add that book to my reading list.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's
Yeah.
it's full of bravado, so just
Mm-hmm.
FYI, but
Great.
there's nothing we can't you can always take it and twist the
Mm-hmm.
metaphor for your own purpose, right?
Yeah. And one productivity app that you use, if you use any.
Oh, I mean, I use sticky notes for
Mm-hmm.
everything. I know this is not an app, but like like they're all over the place,
Yeah.
like that's my favorite. And the reason,
Mm-hmm.
why? It's because I have so much software in my face.
Mm.
And I have Asana, I have Microsoft and all the notes I have to myself
Mm-hmm.
and all that, but like these are the things I try to put down, like my top 3 things I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
every day and then actually cross them off. And you know how hard it is just to do 3 things?
Yeah, I totally understand. It's
You
everywhere.
got the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I like that you can move them, because like
Yeah.
some days I'll be like, oh, I didn't do this, and then I go stick it on my my makeup mirror, in the other room, so then I'm like staring me in the
Yeah.
face.
So that's the end, sadly. Kate, I love talking to you, but that's the
Me
end
too.
of the interview. But I would, do you have some advice or some special message that you want to give to the audience?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to really listen to your gut. Your gut
Mm-hmm.
is so powerful, and I find women especially, we always forget
Mm-hmm.
to listen, and then it'll do things like incapacitate you, like in my case, it'll make you sick or whatever it is. And that sucker is really intelligent. It really is trying to like lead you in the right direction. And so when you're listening, incredibly powerful things can happen. But when you're not listening, it'll shut you down, right?
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kate. It was great talking to you.
Thank
So
you.